Hey, you, come here. I got something I want to tell you. I got a story to tell. What's up, y'all? Do I have y'all's attention? Anyway, my name's Charisma. This is my healing journey. If y'all been watching my videos for the past 5 or 6 days, y'all like healing. What healing going on here? But healing can look so different for so many different people. It's not linear. It can be some regression before you progress. And I'm in a time now where God's really just setting me down. I don't know, just, it's not a love for money, but money is the only tangible thing I've ever been able to obtain. And it doesn't represent power to me, it represents freedom. Freedom from poverty. Not having to be on my back unless I want to be on my back for a man. Not having to ask nobody for nothing. So when you take that ability from me, I guess that is where I've been getting my worth from all these years. Like, yeah, I might not have this, I might not have that, I might not have love, but I got money. And I've had copious amounts of it. You know, I've lived in apartments, penthouses on the lake, you know, and now I'm in poverty in the projects. And that's okay, because I'm still free. But I feel like if I don't really tell the truth, I mean things that I've never even been able to share, even in therapy. That's how deep my shame is. I've never told anybody about my childhood to the extent or the things that my aunts tried to do to me. You know, this abuse, you would probably think that I hate men. No, because women can abuse other women. They can abuse men too. So it's an evil spirit. It has nothing to do with gender. And she wasn't the very first abuser, but she was one of the first abusers. I remember my aunt, who is my father's half sister. They have different fathers, same mother, my grandmother. So there was always jealousy and animosity with my auntie towards my daddy. All the family told me so, that she was extremely jealous of my father and his talents and his abilities. He was a basketball star. Went to Arlington High School. If you're from Indianapolis, you know where I'm talking. It's not there anymore. It's not. I think they closed it. In the newspaper, was in the army, traveled the world, did a lot of things in his short life before the drugs took over, and he ultimately ended up taking his life. But that's a different story for a different time. We're talking about my aunt right now, what she did, what she tried to do, what God wouldn't let her do. I mean, by the time, I would tell you the first time she ever tried to manipulate me, I might have been just after my father passed, and she was like, you could call me mom. You could call me mom now. Now, to the naked eye, that might seem okay, but something deep in my soul said no. And I told her, no, I'm not calling you that. You're not my mother. I know I hurt her, and for a long time I said to myself, maybe that's why she started abusing me, because I wouldn't call her mama. But I thank God that I never called that woman mama. because I honestly, in my heart, feel she was only doing that as a tool to manipulate me and to get her way. I mean, by the time I was 6, she was beating me bad. Let me see, is that scar still there? It's faded now, but I have a scar on my leg from where she beat me so bad when I was about 10, because she came in my room at 10 o'clock talking about fold these clothes. And I'm tired. I want to go to bed. And so I just put them in the closet. And she came in and was like, did you fold the clothes? And I was like, yup. And I guess she knew what I had done. So she opened the door, saw that the clothes were in the closet still unfolded. So she took out a belt and beat me so bad that the belt drew blood and caused an open scab. And I just, all I could do was cry and cry and cry, because I couldn't understand why she was treating me so bad. The emotional abuse. I'm talking, you're telling a 6 and 7-year-old that they're going to end up a prostitute, that they're going to end up dead like their dad. She would tell me stuff like that. This is what she poured into me. There's this old song, I never forget it. It's an old song by the Whispers. And it goes, Olivia the Saint got distracted on the way to grandmother's house. Wolves in sheep's clothing came, blew her mind. Now she's turned out, lost and turned out, lost and turned out. She looks at me, turns to me, turns the radio down. I'm in the car, we're driving, and she says to me, that's how you gonna end up? I mean, what do you make of that at 9, 10 years old? I don't really know what she means. I just know that what she's saying is bad, that she's wishing bad on me, but I didn't really understand what she meant. And it doesn't stop there. I remember all these things happened when I turned 10. Comment down below if you feel there's a spiritual or biblical significance behind that. But all of these things began to transpire when I turned 10 years old. I remember I broke my kneecap running out and playing outside with the neighborhood dog, stripped and fell, landed on my knee, and it broke. I was in a lot of pain. So my auntie and her daughter, my cousin, they took me to the hospital, and they couldn't, for whatever reason, that night, they were not able to put the cast on me. So they had put a splint on me and said, you come back to the hospital in the morning and the doctor is going to put the cast on. And I remember the morning getting up, I'm in a lot of pain. I mean, breaking a kneecap, you think tapping your funny bone to get something, try. That's the worst pain I've ever felt to this day in my life. And so I needed help getting up, getting dressed. And she, as my aunt, went to help me wash up at the sink, at the bathroom sink, and she was helping me to stand. And I remember it was time to wash my private parts. And she says to me, I can do it if you want. Now, I looked at her like she was crazy, like she had lost her mind. Number one, I had already been touched by that time. So it had been going on a long time by a lot of different people by this point. So I knew what she was trying to do. So she took it back quickly. Oh, no, you do it. But after that, I never, ever saw her the same again. I began to realize and understand that this woman was sick. And as I grew and developed, she would always make comments about my body. Ooh, you got big, pretty old legs. Ooh, you got a heart shape behind. Ooh, wee. Like, are you serious? And, but it began making a turn for the worse when her husband, who she eventually married, came into the picture. He came into the picture when I was about 12. And that attraction turned into jealousy because he was a sick man too, who would always leer and stare at me and stare at my body. And that attraction that she had for me also turned into jealousy. And I lived with her, but she no longer wanted me in the house with him present. So I remember the thing that I was able to get out of her house for that time anyway. She had abused me mentally so badly to the point where just how you honestly, if you've never been with it, you don't understand how abusers can break you down mentally, verbally, with their words, tear you down, tell you you're not shit, all of these terrible things they tell you to tear you down. And I was torn down to the point where I said, if you hate me so much, why don't I kill myself? I'll kill myself. I could see a demon in her eyes. She grabs my antidepressants because I was already on antidepressants by then. She gives me the bottle and says, if you gonna do that, I don't give a fuck. Take them then. Take them then. And I grabbed them. I just remember feeling hopeless, so hopeless. Like, dang, this woman hates me. She hates my guts. And I don't see a way out of this. I don't see a way out. So I attempted to take the pills. And there was a tussle. And I don't know who called the police, but I believe a neighbor called. It was apartments, the walls were thin. Somebody called the police. And in order to cover for herself, she told the police that I had a psychotic breakdown and I was a troubled young adult, and she didn't know why I had did that, and I had just tried to commit suicide and I was just out of control. And that was the first time that I was taken and detained against my will. 12 years old. My voice was shut up. I had no voice. I couldn't talk. I couldn't articulate to the police, look, she told me to kill myself. She's been abusing me and hurting me and hitting me all this time. And now to cover for herself, she's saying this. All I remember being taken away from her home in handcuffs. And the police's back was turned and she smirked. She smirked. I saw a smirk on her face. And I ended up going to the mental health hospital, and I was just so numb. I didn't take the treatment seriously because I was there against my will. It didn't feel like I was in a position where anybody was ever gonna believe me. But there was one person who did believe me, and I didn't even have to say anything. It was my grandfather. My grandfather came to the hospital and he took me away where none of the clinicians could hear, and he told me he had a way of extracting the truth out of you. Like you didn't want to tell, but he had a way of getting the truth out of you. And I told him what my aunt did, and he just broke down. I saw tears in his eyes. He dropped his head and said, I should have never let you go live with her. I should have never let you go live with her. And shortly thereafter, he took me out of the house. Didn't call the police because it's my auntie she deserves to be in jail now for what she's did to me then, and probably whoever else she's harmed in the past. But he still protected her. I mean, he took me out the situation, but he didn't do nothing. To my knowledge, he never addressed what I told him with her, but he knew it was wrong what she had done. And after I was released from the hospital, I went to live with my grandpa. And that was a ping pong back and forth between my grandpa and my aunt for the next 5 or 6 years until my grandpa passed away. Because he was an abuser too. So his abuse was different, but it was still abuse. So I couldn't escape it. No, there was no running. There was no escape from it. Everywhere I turned, somebody was harming me. So even today, even as soon as the spirit followed me wherever I go, I thought to myself, if I just leave Indianapolis, then things will get better. But the same thing happened in Philly. And I said, if I just leave Philly, things will get better. But the same thing happened in DC. And I said, if I just leave DC, then it'll be different in Baltimore. But the same thing has happened in Baltimore. So it leads me to believe that this is spiritual. This attack is spiritual, and I can't run no more from it. I've got to tell the truth. I got to tell the truth, because the truth's going to set me free. About how when I did my first video with Unfiltered Stories and told a little bit of the abuse, how the witchcraft attacks increased, how my aunt visited me in dreams telling me, shut up, shut up, shut up. I would hear, shut up, shut up, shut up. She would say. And how the latest attack, when the landlord harassed me and got her daughter to try to assault me, how that happened on my aunt's birthday. February 23rd, 1957. That's the day it happened. So that's what I keep telling y'all. The abuse is meant to shut us up. While the real abusers, they'll play the victim. They'll steal our stories and then make them their own and pretend that they're the ones who were abused, when really it's them who abused us. You know, and they're pillars of society. You know, my auntie go to church every single day. Light of the World Christian Church. Ain't been the same since Bishop T. Garrett Benjamin Jr. retired. It's never going to be the same, ever. I'm sorry. But yet you told me I was going to end up, she told me I was going to end up like my daddy because he died and OD'd. But when I was 10 years old and I found a crack rock in her bureau, in her nightstand. But I found crack rocks in her nightstand. I didn't know what they was crack rocks at the time, but looking back, that's what it was a piece of crack, because I could just feel the evil coming off of it. And I don't know, I just instinctively, I grabbed a lighter that was beside it, and I put the lighter to it, and it boom, 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 snapped, crackle, popped, melted. I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was something bad. So I just closed that bureau door and just stepped back. You know, there's more times. There's more times as well. Like, you know, me being, you know, self-discovery of myself. Had a webcam at 16, like by myself, doing, you know, taking pictures of myself naked, doing things that maybe a 16-year-old had no business doing on camera, but I was by myself, so whatever. But to have my auntie go through my computer and find the videos and brag to me about how she watched it all the way through. And okay, and unfortunately told my probation officer, and I got locked up. Like, it's like always, it's like with people, with her, it was a sexual, she wanted to always sexually objectify me to punish me because she couldn't manipulate me into an incestuous relationship with her. And over the years, you don't think I knew that she was sexually attracted to me. I took advantage of it. I learned very quickly what buttons to push with her to get money out of her, to get what I wanted out of her. And I did it with no remorse and with no guilt because, hey, she had done terrible things to me, so why not use her sickness against her? But I'm not at that point no more. It's not about that anymore for me. It's about telling this so that I'm not the one being ashamed. That I'm not ashamed no more, that I'm holding in this shame about what she did, what she allowed her husband to do, what they both did to me, because I would not submit to their sexual advances. Got me set me up with men who they knew were no good, who abused me, stole from me, stole my car, tried to get me hooked on drugs, all of that, but God is a good God. Even now, it's a weight lifted off of me telling that. And I'm not trying to to do nothing but set myself free, to give this and put this on the altar of the Lord so that true healing can begin. But I can't keep running from my past no more. That's what I've been doing for so long. I've been running, whether it was running by working myself to death, working 15, 16 hours holding down 2 and 3 jobs at a time, whether it's forgetting by getting into all these, these quick, fast food microwave situations with guys, thinking, oh, if I just have sex with them, then they can't hurt me if I don't give my heart, if I don't try to love them, because deep down inside, I don't really think that I'm worthy of love. I don't think I deserve love because I'm a bad person, right? Because my auntie told me so, because my grandpa's told me I'm weak, because my cousin told me I deserve to be raped and I'm just a whore, and that's what happens to whores, right? So I go through life not expecting love, or I look for it desperately in all the wrong places, just to be used further. And it's because I haven't been able to address my trauma. And it starts from the beginning. And I see the patterns that have developed in my life because that I have not had the knowledge or the know-how in order to address this. I've gone to therapy, but therapy is only going to work if you're honest with the therapist. But how can I be honest with the therapist if I don't trust the therapist? And I don't trust the therapist because the therapist is emotionally abusing me too. Like, who do you turn to? Nobody but the Lord. And I've been trying to run from my calling. All these years I've been trying to run. Lord been telling me to tell. Lord been telling me to write this book. And I've been running, trying to run from that calling until I couldn't run no more. Till God got me in a situation where he done sat me all the way down, and I have no choice but to submit to his will. So that's why I'm telling about my auntie. And she wasn't the first, and she wasn't the last person to abuse me, manipulate me, put me in bad situations. She wasn't the first, but it was impactful because of the rape and abuse that I've suffered at the hands of men. I've never been able to develop a healthy relationship with a man. Because of the abuse that I've suffered at the hands of my aunt, I've never been able to develop a healthy relationship with another woman. I've never had friends. I've never trusted women. I've never liked women at all. And it's not because I didn't try to make friends with them. You learn that people, man or woman, not safe. But what has that done for me? I've suffered in silence. I've continued to suffer and be tormented by these memories, by the past. And I don't want to suffer no more. I don't want to be tormented no more. And if it takes me opening my mouth and speaking on what people want me to bury deep down inside and to not talk about, I can't take it no more. I'm going to talk on it. And I hope it helps somebody else. I really do, on this healing journey, because that's all I want to do is heal. I don't want revenge. Even now to this day, I don't want revenge on my auntie. I don't want to be around her, but I don't I'm not at a point where I wish her the best or well or anything like that, but I actively get on my knees every day and ask the Lord to put forgiveness in my heart for my enemies, for those who have hurt me, including my auntie and her daughter, who she taught how to hate, who she taught to hate me. Because that girl loved me. That girl loved me with all her heart before my aunt poisoned her mind against me. I believe that. And but it is what it is. You know, we must expose and dismantle these toxic family systems. And I was the scapegoat for the longest. I was the scapegoat till I left. And to this day, I have zero regrets about leaving Naptown. I have no regret at all, because I'd be dead had I not left Indianapolis. One of them men would have killed me, because the last abuser before I left, he was Haitian, he was crazy, and he said, "I'm gonna kill you." And I believed him. I believed him with all my heart, because he had shown me that he was serious. So I say that all to say that if it hadn't been God being the one to preserve me, I would have been dead. Satan has been permitted, I would say. God's not allowing it, but he permits it. And Satan has been permitted for whatever reason, I don't know. And all these things have happened to me, but I do tell you this much: God has preserved my life. God has preserved my life. And he's preserved my life for a reason, because he has placed a calling on my life. And it's up to me to accept that call. You know, I don't want the spotlight. I would love to be able to put my shades on and put my hat down low. And I don't want nobody to be able to look me in my eye half the time. I don't want to be bothered with nobody. But everywhere I go in a room, and boom, immediately I'm noticed. Immediately I get the interest of people. Some good and some bad. A lot of them's bad. That's what you don't understand. Some of these people, you don't want them to see you and notice you, because when they do, that don't mean you no good. But what can I say? This is what has happened, what is transpiring. God said, "I'm going to put you on a platform, and you're going to tell my people what I tell you to tell them." So I got to be obedient to that. So that's what I do. And that's what's giving me the strength and the courage to tell something that has caused me so much shame, being a part of the toxic family system that I have been a part of. But as I say it and speak it, it's like this weight's lifted off of me. And I feel free, and that I can take this pain and these burdens and these tears and place it at the feet of my Father, and know that he gonna deal with it. I don't want revenge on none of the people who did what they did to me. I just have given it to God, and God's gonna deal with it. But God is also gonna deal with me, and gonna deal with you as well. And I honestly I believe I can live in this pain with this abuse demon following me. I can live and I will die with this abuse demon on my heels, being able to torment me, only not being able to touch my life until I submit fully to the calling God has on my life. That means no more sex, which has been the point of entry for the majority of the abusive relationships. The point of entry has been sexual sin that first entered through the rapes and the molestations, and then continues through the last incident with the last man at Amazon. It started off consensual, but the sex was not consensual after that. Nothing's consensual about somebody putting their hands on your throat and squeezing. Nothing's consensual about that. But but they can't take my life. So I can live my life in torment, not being obedient to God, or I can live my life in freedom, doing what God wants. So that's the one and only reason I told this story this time. And thank you for listening. This is Charisma. This is my healing journey. Peace.